Troy Anthony Davis stared at the wall, numb. He looked back on his life. He remembered the first 20 years, the happy memories of everyday life seeming almost dreamlike to him. They were wonderful and sweet, like a mouthful of honey. Then the turmoil of his thoughts changed its course. He saw the 20 years that followed. He recalled the feeling of cold metal bars beneath his fingertips, of desperation, fear, anger, determination, and hope. He remembers stone-hearted juries, tears in his eyes, and profound loneliness. A realization rolls over him. He realizes he's not about to die, despite the fact he is being led to the electric chair. No, his life already ended. It ended the moment the judge's gavel hit the desk. He died 20 years ago. It had just taken him 2 decades to realize it. With that, the fire of hope that he had kindled within himself for nearly 20 years finally died. He sat down in the electric chair. The flip of the switch reminded him of the sound the gavel made 20 years ago. He saw no more. Before giving him a chance to experience the joys of life, Troy Anthony Davis is brutally murdered by heartless men who consider his life worthless. America's capital punishment system is broken. Davis was convicted for shooting a young woman in an alley by 9 witnesses who later testified against him. They testified against him despite the fact that another man by the name of Sylvester Cole was also in that alley. Cole even confessed to having possessed a .38 caliber handgun, which matched the bullet in the woman's stomach. Despite all of this, Davis was the man who was murdered. After his sentence was carried out, 7 of the 9 witnesses recanted their testimony, much too late for Troy Anthony Davis. This is the flaw in America's capital punishment system. It relies on fallible pieces of evidence, such as false testimony, and presents it as true fact. The injustice of these lives lost leaves a bitter taste in the mouths of many, yet this is still considered culturally acceptable. At best, innocent people see decades of their lives wasted. After doing absolutely nothing wrong, they are sentenced to hell on earth, incarceration, and their hearing is put on a waiting list. They sit on beds of straw, watching their children go into adults without the help of their parents, while they are being detained with hardened criminals. Then, after an average of 12 years of their life gone, they are set free. Without so much as an apology, they are thrown into an alien world with absolutely nothing. At worst, they are murdered and forgotten. People are told not to look into old court cases for fear that the judge made the wrong decision. They force ignorance because they feared the truth. One man stood up against this. A University of Columbia professor by the name of James Liebman. He and his associates began searching through thousands of old court cases where a guilty man was killed for taking the life of another. His discoveries were astonishing and absolutely terrifying. In his conclusion, he wrote that 82% of convicted felons who received the death penalty were killed without conclusive proof. Even the most staunch defender of the death penalty can see an issue here. If there was evidence that 82% of pilots may have faked their pilot's licenses, the industry would ground to a standstill. If there was evidence that 82% of IRS audits may have been falsified and the money owed to the government was lining the pockets of thieves, I'm willing to bet you would take some serious precautions. So why is nothing changing in our justice system? Do we simply not care about these lives that are being lost? Liebman wanted to make a difference. He devoted his life into looking into dusty old court cases long thought resolved. He proved the innocence of 1 in 20 men killed by the American justice system. How many could he have exonerated with the full evidence that would have been available to him at the full time of the trial? America's capital punishment system does not work. Even for those exonerated, life never goes back to how it was before they were put onto death row. One man, Anthony Ray Hinton was exonerated after spending 39 years of his life in hell. He spent 39 years with only murderers and rapists for company. Throughout all of this, he continued to fight for his freedom. Because he couldn't afford a lawyer to prove him innocent, he spent nearly 4 decades in a kind of purgatory. Not proven guilty, but not rich enough to be considered innocent. Innocence should never be a question of money, yet in our system, it is. Finally, after spending over half of his life locked away for a crime he didn't commit, he was exonerated. But life doesn't simply go back to normal after something like this. Looking back on his first years out of prison, he said, "It took me a little while to remember how to use a fork. You know, we don't use forks in the penitentiary. You get a spoon, and the spoon is plastic. I just really tried to order something that didn't make me look like I didn't have any home training. It's like learning everything all over again." This is a struggle that outlines a much bigger one. His friends and family were either dead or gone, and all semblances of his old life were destroyed by the endless march of time. Even though Anthony Ray Hinton was found innocent, his old life was taken away all the same. After his time in prison, Hinton was often told, "I'm sorry what happened to you, but the system worked." He would respond with, "If the system worked, I never would have had to go there in the first place." The American judiciary system claims that people are innocent until proven guilty. With capital punishment, it seems to be guilty until proven rich. Capital punishment destroys the right to life of innocent people. Thank you.